Hello and welcome to the 16th episode of By the Fire with the Shamana, a short transmission bringing shamanic wisdom to your life, one conversation by the fire at a time. It is intended as a form of medicine to heal, open perspective, raise consciousness, and help you regain more freedom and power over your life. If you are curious to discover why your deeper wisdom becomes so difficult to hear when your inner alarm system is constantly switched on, today's episode is for you. Before we begin, I want to invite you to pause for a moment. You are obviously coming from other activities, other thoughts, and right now we are opening together a sacred space for this transmission. Just take a few deep breaths and feel the air you breathe circulating through your whole body, through each of your cells. Feel your whole body relaxing, becoming more present, more receptive, ready to activate your listening and learning abilities. And as you arrive more fully into this space, ask yourself, what is your state in this moment? How do you feel? And if there is a comment section on the app where you are listening to this episode, I invite you to write how you feel there so we can include it together in this sacred space. And when you feel ready, enter. Last week, we explored the way our environment quietly shapes our consciousness. We saw that transformation is never only about changing ourselves. It is also about becoming more intentional about the relationships, places, conversations, and experiences that continually influence who we are becoming. As I continued reflecting on this, another question appeared. What if the greatest obstacle to hearing our deeper wisdom is not only the world around us, but the state of our own body? I'm sure you've experienced days when everything feels surprisingly clear. You know exactly what matters. You know what decision feels right. You feel patient, grounded, connected to yourself. And then a few hours later, after maybe a stressful conversation, an unexpected problem, or simply a day where everything seems to happen at once, that clarity seems to disappear. You begin doubting yourself, you overthink, you hesitate. The same decision that felt obvious only a few hours earlier suddenly becomes confusing. And at first, you may simply think there are just good days and bad days. Days where you feel connected to yourself and days when you don't. But if you pay closer attention, you may notice something interesting. Those moments often have one thing in common. Your body doesn't feel the same. On the days when everything feels clear, your breathing is slower, your shoulders are more relaxed, your body feels open, there is space inside you. On the days when everything feels confusing, your body feels completely different. Your breathing becomes shorter, your jaw tightens, your thoughts accelerate, everything feels more urgent. Your body contracts, and that naturally leads to another question. What if your intuition hasn't changed, but your physiology has? One of the remarkable things about the nervous system is that every moment of every day, it is asking the same question again and again. Am I safe? When the answer is yes, the parasympathetic nervous system gradually allows the body to soften. Breathing slows down, attention becomes wider, curiosity returns. We become more available to what is happening to what is happening both around us and within us. When the answer is no, the sympathetic nervous system prepares the body to protect itself. Attention naturally narrows. The mind starts scanning for problems. We become much more focused on what feels urgent than on what feels meaningful. And this is what I mean by our inner alarm system. It's not something that is wrong with you. It is one of the most intelligent systems your body possesses. But its purpose is not to help you hear your intuition. It is to keep you alive. Long before we had words like sympathetic and parasympathetic, shamanic traditions had already understood something essential. The quality of our perception depends on the quality of our presence. The purpose is not to escape life. It is not to disconnect from the body in order to become more spiritual. Quite the opposite. The body is one of the places through which we experience consciousness. So the more present we become inside it, the more available we become to perceive what is already there. And your intuition doesn't force its way into your awareness. Your higher self does not compete with fear for your attention. It does not try to speak louder than your thoughts. It simply continues to speak in the same quiet voice it always has. But hearing a whisper becomes remarkably difficult when an alarm is ringing inside you. This is why taking care of your nervous system is not separate from your spiritual path. And sometimes the most supportive thing you can do for your spiritual life is not to learn another technique or search for another teaching. It is simply allowing your body to remember that in this moment, it is safe enough to soften. Because when your inner alarm system begins to settle, you do not become different. You simply become available again to the wisdom that has been with you all along. So, as in every episode, I would like us to experience this transmission together. Before we begin this exercise, just a quick reminder to use your judgment and stay safe if you are driving or doing any activity that requires your full attention. If you feel comfortable, I invite you to gently close your eyes for a moment and simply take a slow breath. Allow your body to soften a little. Relax your shoulders, your jaw, your face, and simply notice the space your body is occupying right now. Now, I would like you to bring to mind a situation when something made you feel unsafe. Perhaps it was a difficult conversation or someone raising their voice or someone saying or doing something inappropriate. Take a moment to place yourself back into that situation and remember what happened inside you. Did your body begin to contract Did your shoulders tense? Your jaw tighten? Your breathing became shorter? Did your attention suddenly narrow around what was happening? Simply remember, there is nothing to judge. Now, imagine being in the very same situation, but this time, instead of reacting immediately, you pause. You take a moment to evaluate what is happening before responding. And you notice that your body responds differently. Your body no longer perceives the same level of threat. So without changing the situation itself, simply notice what changed inside you. Just by taking this small pause to reevaluate the situation and the threat. Maybe it was a real threat, and in that case, it's completely normal that your body still feels, contracted, but maybe not. Okay? So now ask yourself one simple question. If my body had responded this way, would I have experienced that situation differently? Would I have perceived something I couldn't perceive at the time? Would another possibility have become visible? Take your time. There is no right or wrong answer. Maybe the threat was perfectly justified, maybe not. The invitation is simply to notice the relationship between your physiology and your perception. Now take one final slow breath, and when you feel ready, gently bring your attention back to the space around you. Now, as every week, I would like to leave you with a simple integration practice to continue exploring this concept during the week ahead. This week, I invite you to spend just a few minutes each evening reflecting on your day. Simply replay the day in your mind, and if there was a moment when you felt stressed, anxious, irritated, emotionally activated, or simply unsettled, pause for a moment and become curious about what happened. What triggered your inner alarm system? Was it something someone said? Something you saw? Something you felt? Take a moment to identify the exact moment your inner alarm system switched on. Every activation has a trigger, and the more aware you become of those triggers, the easier it becomes to recognize your own behavioral patterns. Then ask yourself another question. How long did it stay switched on? Did it settle once the threat has passed? Or did it remain active long after the threat has disappeared? There's nothing to judge. We've all experienced this. If your alarm system settled once the situation was over, wonderful. I mean, there's nothing to change. But if you notice that it remained switched on much longer than the situation itself seemed to require, become curious. What kept it activated? Take a moment to sit with that question. Awareness comes first, the rest follows. What this episode invites us to remember is that the quality of your perception is directly influenced by your physiology. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is not to search harder for an answer, but to create the conditions that allows you to hear it. So before we close this sacred space together, I invite you to take one final deep breath. You inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And you simply notice how you feel compared to the beginning of the episode. You can also take a mental note about what you want to take with you from this moment by the fire. And we can now close this sacred transmission space together. The journey continues within you. Walk gently, walk consciously, and remember, you are never walking alone. If the energy of this transmission resonated with you, I would be truly grateful if you chose to share it as you feel appropriate. Because every time this sacred space is shared, its energy continues to expand and reach the people who may need it most. You can also continue and deepen the journey with me on Substack. That is where I share Whispers from the Shamana, a weekly publication to nourish your deeper self and softly awaken the shaman within. The address is thedigitalshamana with an A at the end, .substack.com. Thank you truly for your presence here today, for taking this moment for yourself and for stepping into this space. And I will see you by the fire again very soon.